Go through some of the incidents first in this game before we move on to talk about the overall performance, gents. Igal, what did you make of the disallowed goal at the end and the penalty shout for Gabriel Jesus? Do you feel Arsenal have been robbed of two clear penalties? It's one clear goal and one clear penalty today.
110%. We were absolutely robbed. These referees are absolute pricks. And honestly, Terry, I'm sick and tired of this. 2 games this season that we lose, 2 dodgy decisions. We should have done better in finishing our chances. Our shooting boots clearly were not on today, but that's 2 goal scoring opportunities right there taken away from us. Plus, obviously, rightfully ruled offside because Saka. No one's going to complain about that. Right. But when it comes down to these tight decisions, I just feel like at this point, they're not going to do us no favors. We've seen Liverpool earlier today, 12:30 kickoff. We've seen 2 penalty shouts that were much lighter, in my opinion, than the shot that that Jesus had. He literally takes his leg, he kicks his leg. How is he supposed to control the ball with the leg that he's supposed to control the ball with getting kicked? We've seen a similar penalty given previously with Jesus against Liverpool last season when we're at the Emirates. So where's the level of consistency? What is a penalty? What is not a penalty? What is conclusive evidence? What is not conclusive evidence? I need to know, because it seems like if a goal is going to be given against Arsenal, the limit for conclusive evidence is quite low, or they maybe can't see it, or they can't get the right camera angle. But all of a sudden, there's a handball on Kai Havertz, but they're saying, "Oh, are we not factoring the handball from the defender that leads up to the handball from Kai Havertz? Are we not factoring that the defender
actually hits Matty Cash's sleeve? That's not a handball.
Does that not rule apply? I'm confused, because clearly if it's a handball on Kai Havertz, it should at least be a penalty for the handball on Matty Cash. It hits his hand first. It would have never hit Kai Havertz if it didn't bounce off of Matty Cash's hand in the first place.
It hits his hand more than like 3 times as well.
No, it hits his sleeve. If you look at it again, it hits the sleeve.
They clearly have it out against Mikel Arteta. They gave him a yellow card for celebrating. He already has a touchline ban. He's probably going to get banned again for either the Liverpool or Brighton game. And on top of everything else, our 2 losses this season is off the back of controversial 1-0 losses. They clearly don't want us to run away with this. They want it to be tight. They want it to be close. This is what it is. I don't care what anybody tells me. This was clear corruption. The referees are absolute pricks. Fuck Emi Martinez. Fuck Unai Emery. Fuck all of these guys. Anyone who says good evening, go fuck yourself too.
What did you make of the penalty shout for Gabriel Jesus, the kick in the back of the leg, Igal?
As I said, Terry, that is clearly a penalty all day long. How is he supposed to control the ball with his foot if his foot is getting kicked in the back of the heel? It's a joke, man.
I hear where you're coming from. Souls, you disagree. You don't think that Kai Havertz, the goal at the end should have stood?
No, I mean, look, at the end of the day, the referee called it off for handball, which it does hit Kai Havertz's hand. And obviously, whether they're seeing it as Kai Havertz as the goal scorer, because even if you listen to the commentary, they say it's Kai Havertz's right foot that puts the ball in the net. So clearly they're seeing it as Kai Havertz has scored this goal. Now, when you're talking about Matty Cash's situation, if you look at it carefully, he actually hits his sleeve, which by the letters of the law isn't a handball. It's anything below the sleeve is considered handball. So therefore, the referee is correct in his decision. Even if we want to go by it, VAR from the very get-go has always said if there's no conclusive evidence, it's on-field decision. The on-field decision was the goal is disallowed. So therefore, VAR has done its job. Now, if you want to have a conversation whether the rules are wrong, then we can have that conversation. But we can't be calling conspiracy, and we can't be calling it as if the referees are against us. Secondary, I don't think that was a penalty on Jesus. Yes, they could have given it another day. They could have given it another game. Yes, the inconsistencies are annoying. But at the same time, just because a bad decision was given in another game doesn't mean they have to keep giving those bad decisions. At one point, we just got to call it out. We know the referees are shit. We've known that. How many times have we complained about the referee? Why do we, game after game after game, rely on the referees to give us a decision? We had like how many chances to score a goal? But you know what the Arsenal fan base loves to do? It's deflect. They love to deflect. As soon as that happened, oh no, it's VAR's fault. It's VAR's fault we couldn't win. Not because we missed 50 chances, not because we couldn't score a goal. No, let's just blame VAR, because you know what we like to do is never blame the club for being bad, for making a bad decision, for having a bad performance. Let's not call Saka out. Let's not call Odegaard out. Let's not call Martinelli out. Let's not call any of these players out for having a bad game. I've been criticizing this team from the very get-go all season for not being clinical enough. I've been saying on this panel that we create chances, we just don't take them. Everyone's like, nah, we don't create chances. Today we created chances. Where was the goal scorer? All these world-class players that everyone wants to label. Bukayo Saka's world-class, right? Did he step up today? No. Martinelli, cusp of being world-class. Where was he today? Captain Odegaard being world-class. Where was he today? All they did was they were world-class defenders for Aston Villa today. Man of the match defending performances. Those clearances deserve respect because that's all they were. They weren't shots. They were clearances for Aston Villa. But what we want to do, instead of actually blaming what lost us this game, we want to deflect like we always do. It's VAR's fault.
But can't we do both? It's not about deflecting. No one's sitting here saying we were fantastic, but we can also do both. Like you're looking at you're looking at it so simplistically. Like no one sat at the Liverpool game and it wasn't reported that the Liverpool penalty was it shouldn't have been awarded. Everybody agreed that the penalty should have been awarded. So 4 hours later, you've got a similar instance and it's not awarded. So we can criticize that part of the game. We can also sit there and criticize our lack of clinical edge today. So no one's sitting here saying
which we're going to come on to for the panel later in the show. From your point of view, Nath, do you feel you were hard done by VAR and referees today with the penalty and the goal at the end?
Well, the goal at the end is an iffy one. Like if it was the only thing that I'm a bit confused by is usually what we've seen these referees do is they usually tend to let things go and then let VAR go back and re-referee because they're a bit scared to make decisions. I don't know how the referee could have seen what happened so clearly where it took so long for them to kind of go through and clear it up. That would be my only gripe with what they did there. But in terms of the Jesus one, I mean, it's about precedence, right? They've done it earlier on in the game. You see in the Liverpool game, you see it 4 hours later, and then it should be the same consistency as what you expect. But the problem with the referees in this country is that it's one rule for one game, one rule for another. There's no consistency. And that's what irritates us as fans. It's not necessarily VAR because it's the application of VAR. I always say like people think if we scrap VAR, it makes it better. But then it's almost like saying, right, if police can't catch criminals without CCTV, if we scrap CCTV, they're fucked, right? Right? It's the reality. If you can't use surveillance to hone in and see what's going on, how are you supposed to do without it?
Mate, and I think the consistency element is absolutely key. I saw you, Saad. I saw you backstage when I mentioned the penalty. So I didn't personally think in real time watching it necessarily was, but it was very, very similar to the penalty that Palace got. You then get the goal disallowed at the end, and we're going to get onto your overarching performance later. But do you feel like in two big games now, Arsenal have not had the refereeing decision be fair and not so much go in your favour, but do you feel like you've been harshly treated now? Newcastle away, Villa away. You could have walked away with at least a point from each, if not 3 points, if VAR had done its job correctly, in your opinion.
Looking at those two games, then yeah, you could say that we've been hard done by the refs. But if we're looking at all of the games and we talk about the referees' decisions and stuff like that, giving us extra time to play the ball, it kind of balances itself out. But in regards to the decisions today, the handball, that was a handball. I know what Souls is saying about it hits his sleeve first. It comes back, it hits Havertz on the chest. It doesn't hit his hand. When it comes back, it hits Havertz on the chest. Then it goes back and hits off of the left hand of Cash again. Then it hits Havertz's hand like 2 or 3 times. That's the handball. The handball on Cash should be already a handball penalty to Arsenal. The other challenge, the contact is made. The contact is made. I could understand if they both went in for the ball and he's going from underneath, from the back of his leg. The contact is made. It's simple as that. Why are we going to sit here and say it's not a penalty? Because I can guarantee you anybody who gets this exact same thing against their team, if they tell me that they would say it's not a penalty, well, they're lying. I can say that already. They're lying because anybody who gets it against their team is going to say that's a penalty. Simple as.
I'm going to come to the rivals in a minute. Matt, welcome to the Terrace. Do you agree with that? Do you feel robbed today? Do you feel hard done by as a Gooner?
I mean, with the Jesus one, I feel like that we've had that against us so many times that when we make contact with those challenges against us, it always ends up in a penalty. It never gets overturned for us, and it's just happened again. And I do think we have been robbed. But I do think Aston Villa did play particularly well in the first half. In the second half, they dropped off, and I think that was because that they put so much energy into that Man City game. But overall, I do feel that we were robbed. In the Newcastle one, we didn't create many chances, but that decision just completely mind blows me, really, because there's 3 separate VAR decisions that they had to make, and every single one of them they got it wrong, or they just couldn't decide which it was.
Yeah, I understand you on that. From a rival's point of view, Ches, you said a minute ago, you don't think Arsenal have been hard done by today.
You know what? Yeah, the Douglas Luiz one, that is 50-50. Like, I'll be honest, that one there, I'm like, if that was given a penalty, no one's going to be like, oh, bad decision. And VAR definitely wouldn't have overturned it. But the Havertz one is where the copium comes in. And the reason why I say copium and the violins come out is because of the time it happened, how it happened, and when it happened, and who happened to. That Arsenal fans are clutched on that because the last thing they remember from the game. And they completely, like Saul's is saying, forget the fact that they missed hella chances during the game. But one instant where it hits Havertz's hand, Cash's hands out a little bit. Oh, it's a penalty, disgrace. VAR's a disgrace. We should have got a pen. Don't gaslight us fans to think that was a clear penalty and it should have been a handball.
What I don't understand about that is that it hits Cash's hand like 3 times.
Listen. What I was going to say on that was Cash's hand. I understand what you mean. It's not like, I'm not saying if that was given handball for Cash and it doesn't hit Havertz's hand and the ball goes out, that would have been a harsh penalty for me. And the way it's happened is he's not looking at the ball at all. It hit his hand, and it wasn't like it was out. It was like close to him, and then obviously Havertz's situation happens. So again, that one, it's not a pen. It's not like a clear pen, and you guys got outdone by, and it's like raw, like what the hell? It was like a hit Havertz's hand. Probably shouldn't be given. It was the right decision, and the ref saw it in real time. So it's not like the ref was like, "Oh, I don't want Arsenal to win this game. Let me blow it." He kind of knew already.